Somebody's hooked.
And I pronounce you man a knife.
Well, they did. They out-testosteroned the Expendables with the Expendables 2. This movie, they spent so much human testosterone on this film, making this, writing the script for it. If this movie was a dick, it would have its own dick.
Wow, that's
a lot of
that's a pretty good line.
testosterone.
I gotta say.
Yeah, I almost wish that when people push play on this review, that it explodes in their face.
Exactly.
With so much testosterone.
They actually die from listening just to the review, not even seeing the movie.
Exactly.
Which, of course, the idea of a dick having its own dick is completely absurd, as is pretty much the Expendables.
Yeah, hey, but, dick gotta fuck too, right? I mean...
What?
All right, sorry. I never fully figured out the plot of the first Expendables movie. So can you explain the second one to me?
Well, I know that in the first one, Dolph Lundgren ended up being like a traitor, but then they forgave him because...
Did they? I thought they killed him in the first one.
No.
They
were all like, oh, man, come here. Fucking dudes fuck up.
Well,
it was
realized...
just like the way two drunk best friends get into a fight in a bar, then later are like, oh, man, whatever.
Well, they all realized that he was the best thing about the first movie. So, of course,
Right.
It's like, oh, wow, out of everything that happened in this movie, Dolph, you were like... The best thing. and that's why he's in the second one. Thank God.
Well, it's true, because honestly, he is one of the better things about this movie, too, I thought, in some ways. I mean, as much as everybody is, they try and give each action star their own chance to be distinctively funny with their own one-liners. He's the only one who actually really made me laugh in it.
He really is. I mean, he really did. It almost seems like it's an extension of his Punisher role, where the Punisher to me always looked fucked up and drunk, and it's like I was like, you know what? I don't know why, but I believe in this Punisher. But I mean, I was really laughing every time he was on screen. I actually wanted more from him.
Laughing is a bit much, but I will say he's the one character out of the pack who seemed to have some personality to him or something to where I was interested in him. Whenever it cut to him, I was like, oh, good, maybe he's going to do something, or I want to know what's going on in this guy's head.
At least the goofs were actually goofy funny, not goofy embarrassing.
Yeah.
Whereas there's so much of the like, okay, we got to see, like, this is a reconsidering. Like, where did we go wrong with the first one? Because the critics generally really did not like the first one, even if some audiences did respond to it.
They responded greatly to it.
But it was clear, like, they still made money, but still, when you make a movie like this, you're like, we got to go bigger, we got to go crazier, and we got to address where we went wrong. And in some ways, I think they did. In other ways, they didn't listen at all. And one of the biggest problems is they're trying so hard to be like, this is the ultimate 80s action movie. This is the cherry on the cake of every 80s action movie you ever saw, because all those people are in it. And they're written just as poorly as most of those films
the
are.
idea is, it's like, hey, do you love movies with Chuck Norris? Did you love movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Did you love action movies with Sylvester Stallone and Dolph Lundgren? Well, we're going to bring them all together. We're gonna add up. When you add up what you liked about all those movies, we're putting it all into one movie. The sum it'll be greater than the sum of its parts. Kind of not really.
No.
Well, the thing is, I mean, we've all, well, me personally, I own almost every single one of the DVDs that these guys have put out. Even Chuck Norris, as bad as some of his movies.
You are hardcore,
yeah,
my friend.
Oh yeah. And with that first Expendables, it seemed like, okay, you got down all the action, I guess, but there was no fun. There was absolutely no fun about any of those movies, and there was no real character. It seemed like they were almost too scared to actually play the ridiculous, the ridiculous, I guess, legends that these guys have become as far as the action world. And I was really disappointed with that. But at least with this, it seemed to me they all were like, you know what, fuck it, let's just have fun. Let's refer to every other goddamn movie that we've ever been in, and just give the audience what they want: a ridiculous fucking testosterone-filled party with us blowing shit up.
And I feel like for me, and I'm not somebody who owns all those movies, because honestly, like, I'm not the world's biggest fans of those let's shoot everything 80s action movies. It just wasn't my thing as much. Like, Rambo was never one of my heroes.
Ugh.
But
too bad.
Watching this, I'm like, if you're gonna do this sort of thing, this is a little closer to what I wanted to see than the last one was, which is like, fuck it, let's just go full retard on this bitch. You know, let's just go, let's make it as goofy and as dumb as possible, and let's at least try and make it so that all the blood effects aren't just really crappy CG like in the last one. They fixed that. Wait, let's talk about what this is about. Oh, wait, we just kind of did.
Yeah, blowing shit up.
A bunch of guys blew shit up. Actually, this story here, after a pretty impressive opening sequence, I got to say, a pretty badass opening sequence. Yeah. You know, because you got to do that sort of thing in these sort of men on a mission films. The Expendables, led by Sylvester Stallone, find themselves in a situation where Bruce Willis, as Mr. Church, comes back and says, "Okay, you guys totally owe me this one last one, and you got to do this for me, and then we'll be even." Which should be an easy thing to go. Find this down plane and get something out of it that he doesn't even want to tell him what it is and bring it back. And the only hitch is they've got to bring this chick with them, played by Nan. I've never even heard of her.
No,
I don't know.
neither have I.
Yeah, she's there to replace Jet Li, basically, who's only there in the very beginning.
In the first 10 minutes, Jet Li goes like, later, dudes. I'm out of here.
Spoiler alert. Yeah,
spoiler.
He gets one really badass action sequence and then goes, "Okay, see, I fulfilled my contract.
Right.
I am now leaving.
I'm done with this
Jet Li
shit."
was like, "Wow, I was really expecting more out of these.
They
I'm done."
actually say, "So you coming back?" And he actually says, "Yeah, no, probably not."
That's awesome.
Not that
he wrote that line, by the way.
But of course, they get there and nothing goes as planned, and they find themselves, after the guy who is doing everything but actually wearing a red shirt from Star Trek.
Yeah, exactly.
The young kid with that kid's got moxie.
He's going to get out of the life and go on one last mission because he's got a girlfriend back at home waiting for him. Wow.
And if you don't know any better by now,
I expected Stallone to say like, "Kid, you know you're going to die, right?"
but he gets taken out by the other new guest star in the film this time around, Jean-Claude Van Damme,
who plays Jean Villain.
Jean Villain.
Yeah,
was like,
I don't even know why they give them character names.
Anyone even write this?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you're gonna be the villain. Oh, my name is Villain. Sure, Villain. That's pronounced Villain in Brussels. All right, dude. Whatever.
And of course, the Expendables have to go back and get their revenge. And at that point, they don't even care about what actually happened to the core mission. They just want to kill this guy, which is, like I said, this is the ultimate just a bunch of dicks banging up against each other, like who's going to be the top dick and alpha dog, who's going to piss
who's
on
touching
whose
the
head.
tip. Yeah. I mean, it's getting right to the point of what everyone wants to see. Nobody gives a rat's ass about the mission. They just want to see these guys do their thing. That's all.
And ultimately, that is what the Expendables 2 does. And I felt, to better effect than the first one, like I said earlier, I mean, the action is better shot. For one thing, Simon West, who may not be a terribly good director, but at least he's done more of these type of films. I mean, he's worked with Statham before. He has an idea how to film those sort of scenes, where Stallone seemed to his whole strategy in the first one was like, put the camera right up against their faces and just cut every half second.
I think with the first one, Stallone's focus was just on getting everybody together.
Yeah. Exactly. He just hadn't thought out choreographing the fighting.
Yeah.
Here, the fighting feels a lot more choreographed, and the effects, while still not great, are 1,000 times better than they were in the first one.
I mean, it does get back to the old school of just, guys running around blowing shit up, literally, where you see bodies getting like just decapitated by bullets and bodies exploding. But yeah, the camera at least is focusing on all that, so you do get a sense of. I mean, it does really feel like a roller coaster ride in a sense, to where I never got, just with all the images on the screen, it never got confusing to me. Right? More so like these newer action movies tend to do.
Wow. I guess nobody's going to say it, so it'll just be me. Fuck this movie.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow, okay.
Absolutely. I sat there and I was like, wow. When it was done, I was like, I can't find one thing I liked about this movie. It opens... I guess it's an impressive opening sequence. It's just them flying in, blowing up a bunch of brown dudes. I don't know really anything about them. It's like, okay, these are the same guys.
They're brown, you know that.
These same guys from the last movie that I didn't really learn anything about and don't give a shit about. My heroes, I don't give a shit about them. Yeah, they take out the red shirt. Whoop-de-doo. They're on this mission. Oh, here's the thing about the movie. It's like, I would never get bogged down in the logistics or even the fucking motivations. But after that opening sequence, I thought the movie was just boring as shit. I was just sitting there just bored. I'm like, wow, you guys are here to blow shit up, and I see a lot of talking and posturing and talking about what you're gonna do, but nothing's really happening. I mean, it kind of perks up when Van Damme comes on because you're like, oh, he's a villain. He's the stock villain. He's, I mean, is there a railroad track nearby you can tie somebody to? And then it goes to getting boring again for the longest time. It's the only time it wakes up, it goes like, hey, here's a cameo you've been waiting for, huh? Kind of clever. We're going to throw some one-liners in there. And then they're on the mission of like, oh, we got to help the people. Let's help the people of the village. It's not about us, you guys. It's about helping the people. All right, now it's back to this. Right. I felt like it wasn't really until the last 15 minutes where they go all out. Bruce Willis, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Stallone, all of it. It's like that's the last 15 minutes is where they give everybody the thing they've been promising and saying they're going to. And yeah, it's catchphrase bingo. For that while. It's like they save it all up for that point. But honestly, by that point, I'm like, you know what? I've been here for almost 2 hours. I still don't know or like these characters. I have not once had a sense of tension, a feeling of danger, like they weren't safe. I knew they were safe the whole time.
I can't disagree with anything you're saying. Yet at the same time, I'm like, by what standard are you judging the Expendables 2 by? Because I'm like, I mean, as much as I didn't even like any of those 80s films this is playing tribute to that much, come on! What are you trying to get out of this?
No, sorry, hear me out, man, because I'm not trying to compare it to, like, the great action movies and go like, hey, man, it didn't have this. I'm saying, like, just even simple basic stuff in action movies that I don't expect a lot from, it wasn't giving me that. Like, I should have had a sense of tension at some point, just some suspense, just feeling like, oh, what's going to happen? It's like, I was just sitting there like, I don't have to pay attention to this because I know what's going to happen.
I see where you're coming from. And I can't really fault you for that. Because looking at it strictly as a film, sure, yeah, it has its problems. There is a lot of lag during the movie. But the thing is, when I go see a movie like this, I'm kind of prepared for some jokes to just not work, the humor, sometimes the camaraderie. But I actually like the camaraderie this time around with the team. I mean, it all seemed like they were very self-aware of the movie they were making. Therefore, it made the movie enjoyable when they got to do those action scenes. Which, I mean, there are quite a few action scenes. It seemed like as soon as I'm like, okay, here's where the movie's going to start to slow down. Boom! They found an excuse to have just an all-out gunfight scene. And for me, I mean, I was really waiting for this movie to kind of bore me like the first one, because everything you're saying, that was my issue with that first movie.
Yeah.
It definitely seemed they picked their game up a bit, but I still had fun with it. And it's one of those things where, I mean, I can say definitely if you're a fan of these action stars, a lot of it is fan service. I mean, they're giving you everything they want.
It's all fan service.
Yeah, I mean, to where, I mean, they're not really betraying the idea of what this movie should be. And I mean, maybe I give it a pass for that, but I wasn't nowhere nearly as bored as you were. But I see where you're coming from.
Yeah,
if you just don't care about this type of
ultimately,
genre.
That's what shocked me more than anything, because I know I'm going into a stupid action movie, and it's these iconic guys. I saw the first one. I know what this is supposed to be. So when I got bored, I was like, wow, I'm not supposed to be feeling that in this, and not for this long, and not for all the movie. And the thing is, what can make a movie not boring is having good or funny dialogue. And as much as we talked about Paranorman, where 90% of the jokes didn't work, I'd say it was more like 98 in this, where I was just like, wow, can anybody say, other than Dolph Lundgren, who's able to like sell even the worst stuff?
Yeah,
nobody else.
Well, it's funny because like I felt like when they were writing it, they were going, oh, everybody loves the worst jokes from those 80s films, right? In a nostalgic sort of way. We laughed at them. The pun joke wasn't a cliche yet at that point in those movies. Now it is, and they're like, okay, let's write the worst ones we can think of for this, and the audience will eat it up. No, that was a terrible, terrible idea. And it's the only possible explanation that I can think of for the way they wrote the jokes here.
I feel like it's not even just that the movie, plays fan service, but it's lazy in that it depends on the fans to come in with something. It's like, hey guys, we know what you want, and we're trying to give it to you now. Come on, just come along with it. Like, really, you have to go in as a big fan and give the movie a pass for it to enjoy it.
No, you're not wrong, but at the same time, like I said, that is what it is. It's wearing it on its sleeve. I mean, it is the 80s action movie fan ride. It is action movie porno.
Yeah, it really is.
This is like and nothing else than that. That's all this is. It doesn't make any pretensions at art on any level, on structure, on quality. It doesn't even pretend to have that. It is pornography of the 80s action movie fan. And for what that is, it's getting a little better at doing it.
Yeah, getting a little better.
I would never go back and watch this again, but watching it once through, it was like, you know what? I was entertained enough. It's every once in a while, I do want to see 1,000 people die violently in an hour and a half. And this is the movie that does that with a bunch of iconic guys I remember from my youth. And like, unlike the last one, this one really just pulls out all the stops with continuing to introduce new ones. Mm-hmm. You know, like the last one you get, hey, it's Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis, and they're gone, and that was it. And here, you actually get to see those guys doing action.
They're actually working. Yeah, they're actually working with each other. They're acting with each other, like, for the first time
and trading,
with this movie.
Trading each other's iconic lines.
Oh, yeah.
Fun, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. Come on, Miller. Let's go. Tear him apart. I'll be back. You've been back enough. I'll be back.
And for me, I mean, I'm like looking at it, and I know, just being a critic, I know how ridiculous it is. But I was still like giddy. There's a part of me that was still giddy, like just seeing these guys talk to each other, like kind of bullshitting. It's like you're going to a bar. And you see Stallone, and then you see Schwarzenegger walk through the door, and then Bruce Willis, and then Chuck Norris, and then they start taking jabs at each other about how ridiculous their film careers are. And I mean, it made me like go, I would love to see a movie where these guys are just fucking getting hammered as hell, hammered to shit, like hanging out in a bar, giving each other like shit, playing pool. I mean, I would watch that. You can make that the Expendables 3, and that for some reason that chemistry, seeing them all there, was just fun for me. Now I wish. Honestly, if they do another one of these, I really hope that it gets to that last action hero level of ridiculous, self-aware action.
I was
that's what they need to do.
I was actually hoping that one of them would turn out to be a robot that was not Schwarzenegger. No, like Chuck Norris would turn out to be like a killer robot or something. I was like, fuck it, why not?
Yeah.
Seriously, how would that hurt this movie? At what point would the audience go, no, I can't buy that.
No, you're right, and going that far would have made it. And Coast, everything you just said, yeah, that's in that 15 minutes. If anything I liked about it, the movie, it was that 15 minutes where it does give everything. You know, it fulfills the promise. Although those guys there in a hail of bullets, they're trading quips. You know what? Them in a bar bullshitting about each other, I probably would have enjoyed that more. Because the way this was, I was like, I feel like these guys are just going to like run out of ammo and just open up a Planet Hollywood right here. and that would make about as much sense as everything that's going on.
That's true.
Yeah, you guys, I mean, I guess you want to give it, a pass and help it along. I don't know. I just wasn't enchanted enough to do that. I was like, I don't want to go to a movie and not have fun. And I was trying, but I was like, come on, be honest. Is there anything here you enjoyed? I mean, for me to like pretend like it was, it just be me wanting to like try to go along with it. Like, I just want to have fun like you guys. But if I'm honest with myself, I was like, wow, I feel like the thing that was expendable in this was my time. It was like,
or not expendable for future reference.
Yeah,
but I can't disagree with anything you're saying. But like I said, at the same time, it's just all different context for me for this. I mean, if I'd been in a slightly different mood when I had seen this, I might have come out pissed at it, going like, God, another piece of shit. The improvements I made were just enough for me to go, all right. Plus, lowered expectations like crazy after the first one,
sure,
which I thought was pretty crappy. I don't know. I mean, as you said, Ghost, there's a lot more charisma this time chemistry between the characters. I bought that a little bit more. They didn't go overboard with the subplot stuff either. It was just kind of more direct and to the point. I mean, you said it was so slow in the middle. I didn't get that. It's not all out carnage, but I thought they had a significant amount of action scenes one after another to keep it going through there. So much more so than the first one. Listen, the acting is even worse, I think, in some ways.
Yeah. and
which you can tell by the dialogue. I mean,
you know, one thing with the first one, if I gave it points for anything, okay, it introduced like the two new guys, Randy Couture and Terry Crews.
Yeah.
And you're like, what are these guys doing in with them? But they actually spent some time with them, so it's like, okay, yeah, they're part of the Expendables. In this movie, it's like, wow, I think we got two Expendables too many.
Well, Terry Crews gets some time.
Yeah, Terry Crews gets something, but Randy Couture, Jet Li is only in the movie for 5 minutes, and he does more than Randy Couture does in this whole thing.
Yeah, seriously, I forgot he was in the movie till the end credits.
Yeah. I mean, with him, I was like, okay, how many more missing ear jokes can they make? About this guy. It's like, oh, hey, he's still here. So it's like let's get him involved in some way. Oh, let's make a joke at his expense.
Yeah, I know. And then Liam Hemsworth, which I didn't even, is he Chris Hemsworth's identical brother?
It's his younger brother. He was in the Hunger Games.
He looks exactly like
I know.
him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's the the red shirt kid in this.
Yeah.
And I kind of was like, oh, okay, well that's cool, new guy in here, that should be interesting. And yet every time they filmed the guy, it looked like it was like Olin Mills photography. Did you notice that?
Actually, I noticed they did that on all the old guys. They did that a lot. Like there were points when I was just like wondering, like, is this movie out of focus? Is the cinema, is the theater messing up? But then I look at something else, I'm like, no, they just got a super soft focus on these guys.
It's a weird edit that they kept doing, and there were points there was no reason to do it. It wasn't even with the guys. It would just be like, are you just trying to make it look like this is an older movie or something?
I know. I was like, how many times did this camera explode? I mean, so where they kept picking it back up and putting it together to film this movie.
I mean, with everybody, to the point where they looked inhuman. Like Chuck Norris looks so fucking weird here. I kept looking like he's not real.
I know. It was like he's like either super Botox or they just Photoshop every frame.
Well, yeah, and Schwarzenegger at this point, he's looking worse than anybody in a lot of ways, and yet you can tell he's also had the most amount of Botox.
Yeah.
Like his face is just... At this point, he really does look like he's got a Terminator.
Because he can't move his face.
Yeah, because he can't move his face. And I'm almost begging for that CG Schwarzenegger from Terminator Salvation to make an appearance. I mean,
no,
please.
If he got shot in the arm and it came off and there were robot parts sticking out of it, I could bump up my rating.
No, I almost wish like they would have shot his face where you can see bullets ricochet and even a missile just go pew, and you're like, whoa, that's awesome, Schwarzenegger, you rule.
You would have gone, okay. Well, I don't know how much there is really to say about this because honestly, like we described the entire plot of the movie by saying these action heroes kill everyone who comes within 5 feet of them brutally and violently, and that's the movie. You know what this movie is. And it is what it is. It is a bad movie. I'm sorry, it's not a good movie. There's no question that you are correct in everything that you said, Leon. Okay. And yet at the same time, it's pandering to a part of me that still remembers when I used to enjoy these sort of things, the 12-year-old boy in me with absolutely no sense of discretion whatsoever or dignified with any level of taste and analysis. It does set out what it's trying to do, and I give it points for that, most definitely. But I'm just not sure why it wants to. It feels like it has to do things that way. It just seems so goddamn lazy. You could make this a really good movie, something like this. You could achieve everything you wanted to achieve, and still put a good movie on top of it, and just no one gives a shit. I mean, you can tell by the fact they hired Simon West, for Christ's sake, how little they give a shit.
Like Simon West has, like, up to now, he's not made a movie I like at all, and he's clearly still on that winning streak. You don't hire Simon West if you want to make a good movie. That's what it comes down to.
You don't hire him if you want Leon to be happy.
But I mean, like I said, I did get some fun out of this, and it's worth seeing once if you're a fan of these films. There's certainly, there's points that are like even some of the points that are there to satisfy you. You'll be rolling your eyes at, but you'll be laughing too. While you're rolling your eyes, like you were saying the
catchphrase
bingo is so terrible and so it's so blatant, it's embarrassing, and yet I was laughing through it too. So I guess they got me. I'm gonna end up giving this a high rental because I do think you should see it, but for Christ's sakes, don't go to the theater.
Fucking high rental. Okay. Well, the thing is, I've given all my reasons why, despite my best intentions, I just couldn't find anything to like about the movie. I wanted to, and then the thing was, when it comes down to it, wouldn't have taken that much more effort to make it a better movie. It really wouldn't have. It was just clearly like nobody thought to do it, thought it was important, knew that they could pander, and they knew, hey, we know what our audience wants. They ain't asking much of us, and why give it to them? Let's just keep it simple. We'll have fun. Hey, come watch a bunch of old millionaires have fun. Come pay to watch a bunch of old millionaires have fun. I say, no, thank you, sir. I have plenty of other things I can be doing with my time. But I will say that last 15 minutes, I will take my hat off to them for finally delivering on what they promised. And as much as I talked about the catchphrase bingo sequence, I'm right there where I'm going like, wow, this is fucking awful, and yet I kind of enjoy it. It's kind of fun. It's what everybody came for, and they did give you that. I could have enjoyed all the killing if it wasn't just so much of, hey, we're killing a bunch of faceless, nameless guys, hundreds of faceless, nameless guys who can't shoot. Like, they have a better chance of hitting us if we're not in front of them. They were clearly trained by the agents of Cobra and the stormtroopers from Star Wars on how not to actually hit anything. And it stops being fun at a point where it's just like, there's just no danger here. And yeah, a guy just got his head blown off, but it's very obviously CG, so I don't even feel that. And while the first one felt bloodless, I mean, I guess I'm sorry. I don't want to beat this into the ground. The fact is, I didn't fucking like the movie. I'm not going to give it a fuck you because of that 15 minutes where it does deliver, but I do give it a some old bullshit.
Damn. Well, hell. What do I say?
It's up to you to balance this vote.
I know. Well, it is a lot better than the original. It's a little bit more than it was a little bit more that I was hoping that the original would have given me. But I mean, like we both said, you're right. I mean, we can't. I will not sit in a room and ever argue your points about this movie because I would honestly feel kind of stupid. I mean, but the thing is, for me, it is a stupid movie, and sometimes I enjoy stupid movies where I will take out my brain, throw it on the floor, and then fucking shoot it with holes with a Uzi 9mm. And with that, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Is it fun enough to be a matinee? No, not really. And part of me, like, during those action scenes, I'm like, okay, this is a matinee. It really is a solid matinee. But after watching the movie, I noticed a lot of it just didn't stick with me to where, watching a movie like this, I still kind of have the same kind of stupid expectations that I had with those original 80s action movies where I can pop those in my DVD player and watch them over and over and over again. And I don't know if it's just nostalgia or the pure fact that the way those movies were filmed, the way they were done, where you actually were rooting for those guys all the way through before you even knew that they were going to become the legends that they were. This movie honestly didn't give me that sense of, man, I need to go see this again. But like I said, if they make a third one, please just say fuck it and go like full on fucking retard and get to the point of like Last Action Hero where I hear all those goddamn stupid one-liners. Everyone's laughing while they're shooting people. I mean, why the fuck not? So yeah, but it's a rent.
Stallone has a machine gun inserted in his arm. So firing out of his wrist.
Where Stallone just shows you his fucking forearm and your head explodes. I mean, that's all.
Just put Wolverine in it.
Well, it is one of those things where, like, yeah, it's a stupid movie, but had it been stupider, I might have gone a different way. I'd have been like, all right, it's getting nuts.
At least, you're totally absurd. I'm with this.
Yeah.
But, like, why are you even trying to stick to reality at any point? Why don't you just make Arnold turn into the Terminator? And why don't you make Bruce Willis turn out to be the cop from Die Hard? I mean, I would have gone like, oh, that's awesome. Why not? I mean, it's not awesome, but it's awesome in the context of how fucking retarded all this shit is.
I mean, man, like, you get to that last fight sequence, and it just made me go, okay, I don't understand what Van Damme's plan was to begin with now. I thought I knew, but
like if like he'd been sitting there like and Stallone beat the shit out of him, but then like he burst open and he's like the alien from Men in Black 1. Like, would you not have applauded at that point?
Or he could be a time cop who goes back in time.
I know,
goes forward in time.
Give it the longest fucking title in the history of cinema: Rambo versus Terminator versus fucking Lone Wolf McQuade versus Time Cop. I mean, yeah, why not?
And then at the very end, Liam Neeson kills them all.
Yes.
Hey!
Are you sure he's bigger than his car?
Do something!